going on, everybody? It's your boy Adam, back at you for some chaos to come back. It's Wednesday, June 18th. I shouldn't even tell you the date, but I am getting caught up on resyncing the videos with our current timeline. I've got a bunch queued up for the rest of this week, and I'll still be a few days behind when these go up. The ability to have at least one video show up every day on the channel's been good for me in terms of engagement, and YouTube's cutting me a check every month now. If I'm not going to gain any followers, I may as well just do what I can do to make it work. I don't know how you get 1,000 followers in 3 months and then go from that to getting 0 followers the following 10 months. I don't know. It is what it is. It's YouTube. It's their censorship game. So what's going on in the new house this week? I don't even know what was in yesterday's video. I was talking about taking an Epsom salt bath, and all the stuff showed up from Amazon. I'm positive that I had to have filmed the video beforehand. All the stuff came from Amazon, and I was like, okay, we're done. Everything stops right now. I went and drew a bath and did it right then and there. 2 cups of Epsom salt, 2 cups of baking soda, and a generous 2 eyedroppers full of the eucalyptus oil, and I had some incense burning. It was like, it's chilling in that tub, and boy did that do a good job of relaxing my sore muscles from the bike riding and stuff. It's day 2 post bike ride. I still have a little bit of soreness throughout the body from that, but it's coming along. Let's see, I started cooking some good food yesterday. Cooked up a whole package of bacon. Like I said, I was a little bit, the bacon looked decent, and that I didn't look at the label on the bacon, because that Great Value brand from Walmart I'm not opposed to buying generic or store brand stuff. You go to Wegmans, you get the Wegmans brand, you get the Giant Eagle brand, you get I don't know if Kroger's probably got their own brand of stuff. You go to Target, you get the Good and Gather Target owned brand names. Like, I'm not opposed to getting generic stuff. But the Great Value from Walmart, that is the worst fucking value ever. Anything you ever get with that label on it, fucking forget it. It's trash. I was talking about it yesterday, and the only reason I'm reminded about it is because I opened up one of my drawers yesterday to get a plastic bag. I was on the cheap. I went grocery shopping at Walmart one time when I lived at the tool shed, and I needed some sandwich bags, so I bought a box of those, and it was the cheap ones. Good value, great value sandwich bags. Well, when I opened up the box and I needed a sandwich bag, I had to pull out 25 fucking bags because they were ripped. There was a giant hole in the bottom of each bag, so there was like no bag. It was a bag where the whole bottom was sliced open on every single bag in the box almost. Out of a box of 100, more than 30 of them had a big gaping hole in the bottom, or it looked like somebody just went into the box with an X-Acto knife and just went goosh and like that, and just sliced pretty much 2/3 of the box. All the bags were just sliced open. They weren't bags, they were plastic tubes at that point. I bought some, on that same day, I bought some of the iced coffee. I one of the bottles was that brand, and it was horrid. It was the most rancid iced coffee I've ever had in my life. It was so terrible, terrible. The only way I got through the bottle is I would just mix a little bit of it, just like a shot glass worth, in with other iced coffee, just to use it up, but where I wouldn't taste it. Who knows what fucking shit was in that anyway, but anyway, you can see there was a video someone posted of Great Value chicken nuggets, like the dinosaur chicken nuggets or whatever you get in the frozen section, and people cut the chicken nuggets open. There was no fucking chicken inside of them. It was just a shell of breading with no chicken inside the nugget. It was just air nuggets. Like, somehow they fucking made a mold, or they figured out how to bread the chicken nugget and then probably get in there with a syringe or something and suck all the chicken out of the nugget and put them in a bag and sell them to you as chicken nuggets. But the bacon was all right. It was all right. It was not, bacon's bacon. It was a full slab. It wasn't like individual slices. It was a slab that was pre-sliced, thick cut, hickory smoked bacon. Came out fine. And I look at when I buy bacon, I'm looking at the fat versus meat content. I'm a bacon connoisseur. I can cook a mean stack of bacon. Anybody who's ever had bacon that I cook is like, oh my God, this is the best bacon I've ever had. And it's not that hard to cook. It's really just knowing what temperature to have your skillet or your pan. Using a bacon press is important, and knowing when to pull it off. Knowing when to pull it off and put it on. I usually make a stack of paper towels to dry my bacon on. It's just a matter of knowing when to pull it off the pan, because it continues to cook after you put it on the paper towel. And so you have to, most people who cook the bacon too long cook it until it looks right, but you need to pull it off the pan before it looks like it's supposed to look, because it continues to cook for about another minute, up to 2 minutes when you take it out of the pan and put it on a towel to dry and rest for a minute. So my bacon came out perfect. Some of it looked like it wasn't perfect, but once it rested and once I was looking through the stack, I'm like, yeah, these are great. The only thing that kind of sucks is you have to take, when you cook in a small pan like I'm using, you have to cut your strips in half so that they can lay flat while you cook them. But either way, when I'm putting bacon on things, I usually cut the strips in half anyway, so it don't matter. If you have a skillet, like a cast iron griddle that can span 2 burners on a stove, then you can lay that stuff flat. Or if you use one of those electric skillets or whatever, it don't matter what you use as long as it's a hot, flat surface. And I was able to collect enough bacon grease to season my pans. So I'm going to be able to season. I've got 1 pack of bacon is going to give you enough to season cast iron pans for a long time. So there's that. So that's coming along. I made some good burgers. I cooked a whole pack of bacon, set it aside, cut up some onions into some half rings, and I didn't feel like doing any caramelization or anything like that. I didn't want to get. It was already hard enough to cook all the bacon and stuff, so I cut up some raw onions, and then I threw a couple of 1/4-pound burger patties down for some burgers. But the buns, I used these bigger buns, and when I got done with the burgers, I'm like, I should have made those 1/2 pounders, because they weren't the same. When they cook, they shrink, and they weren't the right size for the buns that I bought, but they still tasted great. And I put so much bacon on them that it all just kind of, it didn't matter. You weren't getting a bite of just bread with nothing on it. So it turned out pretty good. I made the burgers yesterday with burgers, bacon, the raw onions, some American cheese, which I'm out of now, and some aioli sauce on the top on some King's Hawaiian rolls. They were pretty good. All I have right now I'm going to do burgers again today. All I have to put on them is, all I have to put on these ones today is shredded cheddar and bacon and aioli and onions. They'll taste fine. But if I was smart, I would, maybe, I don't know. I should probably try some half pounders and just combine some of the beef into 2 half-pound burgers and just bah. I also made some grilled cheese and bacon with some onions later on. I was hungry. I don't know, that bath, holy crap, that bath made me hungry. I didn't eat all day either, so I basically had a dinner, and then a couple hours later I had second dinner, but I didn't eat lunch. I ate like a handful of peanuts during the day. So I got to start figuring out what to eat in the mornings, or something to kind of cool down the hunger in the morning, so that when 6-7 o'clock rolls around, I'm not ravaged and feel like I can eat 10 pounds of beef. But what else did I do? Got an issue. I'll talk about it, because why the fuck not? So at the last place I lived, pest control is a problem. It's Texas. You're in the tropics. You're going to be dealing with some bugs here and there. Back in Pennsylvania, the biggest pest bug that I ever had to deal with regularly, and they're really, really hard to deal with, are stink bugs. These fucking things came over from China one year, and they completely took over the state of Pennsylvania, and sometimes they can be ridiculous. This one time I had easily 10 to 20,000 stink bugs found their way into my home. It was fucking crazy. They were in everything. The way I dealt with them at that point in time is I went and bought a cordless vacuum, industrial cordless vacuum that you would use in a shop, a Craftsman cordless vacuum that used the Craftsman C3 batteries, and I bought enough batteries so that I could just rotate them while they were charging. And the guy at Sears, when I bought this thing, now this was back in like 2005, maybe 2005 is about right. They were bad. This year, they were never as bad as they were this one year. They were so bad you couldn't even walk outside without having to go like this, because they were everywhere you went. People remember this shit. It was crazy. I don't know what made them calm down a little bit, but they're everywhere now. They've completely invaded Pennsylvania, and they have no natural predators. And they are going to spread across America, but they started in Philadelphia, and they started working their way across the state and in that region. And they have no natural predators, and they can live for a whole winter without dying. They find their way into your home no matter how much you try and keep them out. And pretty much no insecticides, nothing works to kill them. There's only a couple of ways to kill them, and it boils down to attracting them with light and trapping them inside of a thing. You can take 2-liter pop bottles and make traps for them. There are different ways to trap them. They're a fucking pain in the ass. You have the best way I've ever had to get rid of them is a vacuum cleaner with a long wand. And the first time I did this, I went to Sears and I told the guy what I was up to, and he goes, "Oh shit," because he knew everybody. It was the talk of the town. And so I'm like, what's the longest attachment I can get for this thing? And he showed me, and it wasn't that long. And I'm like, and it comes with an attachment. And I'm like, well, I don't know. I'm going to need something longer than that. Because I had some 20-foot ceilings in that place. I had some huge 15-foot ceilings easily in that place. I needed something that could reach. And we went to the vacuum cleaner section, and they had some attachment wands that were friction based, and I had to get 2 of those and the one that comes with the unit, and then I had to rig up a way with duct tape and such so that when I put the attachment on the vacuum, it would not fall off from being so long. And I had a 15-foot extension wand with a cordless vacuum that had some serious power. And I would just sit there. I'd suck up 1,000 at a time, and then I would take the bag and dump it out in the toilet, and it would look like a bowl of grandma's potpourri when I would dump these things out and give them a flush. And I had to do this for weeks in this house, just sucking them up, hundreds at a time. And it finally got to the point where it was under control. But we moved out of that house that winter, not because of the bugs, but just timing wise. And in the next place that we lived, as we're unpacking things from the house, we're still finding these stink bugs that they burrowed their way into our stuff. And over time, they're always going to be there. Always going to be there. But the in my last place that I was in Amish country, the sunroom was where they would congregate all summer long. You'd be sitting in the sunroom, and all of a sudden you'd hear boing, 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 because they make noise. They buzz, bong, 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 but they would bang up against the screen on the skylights. Bong, bong, bong. You'd look up, there'd be like 20 of them up there. So I still had the stink bug, the Tim Allen. It was straight out of Tool Time. Like, this was something Tim Allen would have come up with on Tool Time during the home improvement sitcom to get rid of the bugs in the house. I had that all the way up until I was arrested, and I used it for that purpose. That was what that thing was for. I used it as a vacuum cleaner here and there, but that was the bug remover. But I also had like not a Dyson, but like a cheap $70 Dyson cordless vac. Because every vacuum cleaner is a junky copy of a Dyson now. So I had a cordless vac like that I could. It was right next to the sunroom, and I could just reach over, grab it, whoop, suck them all up. The Tim Allen, the Craftsman version, whatever it vacuumed up would go into the vacuum and get chopped up by a blade and then dumped into the bag. So I don't know, that was just part of the design. So the stink bugs, when they would get sucked into that thing, when they were down in the bag, the collection bag, they were shredded. They weren't alive anymore because they would just get completely chewed up by the mechanisms inside that thing. But when you suck them up with the cordless regular vacuum I had, they'd all just be crawling around inside the canister after you suck them up. And so I preferred the Tim Allen stink bug remover because it's the only thing it does is when you kill those things, it leaves behind a smell that attracts, and they're attracted to the smell. So they keep coming and coming and coming. And on a hot afternoon in the summer, they banging on the thing. You could go and vacuum them all. I could go and get the vacuum, either one, suck them all up till where there's no more stink bugs in the sunroom. I could leave, or I could sit in the sunroom. 2 hours later, there's going to be 30 more. You suck them all up, you get rid of them, You go around the house, you're looking for them, you don't see them, you sucked them all up, they're gone. Give it like 2 more hours, boom, the sunroom's full of stink bugs again. And they're just again and again and again all summer long. Because they're trying to get outside. So the ones that somehow got in the house over the winter are trying to find their way out. All fucking summer long, they're trying to get out. And you can't get rid of them. You can't. These things are fucking insane. You can't get rid of these things. Nobody knows how to prevent them from coming in. Nobody knows how to get rid of them. They don't cause any harm. They're annoying. They're the most annoying fucking bugs. And so you just battle them all year long. In the winter, when it starts getting cold outside, they start trying to come in to hibernate for the winter. And so, but you can spray them with the most toxic shit imaginable and they just walk right through it. They don't give a fuck. There's like nothing you can spray these things with that they just go and brush your shoulder off. They just keep going. Nothing kills them. The only thing you can do is you can take a cup of rubbing alcohol and you can fling them into the cup of rubbing alcohol and they can't swim in it, so they just and die. You can put traps out with light. You have to put a light under a 2-liter bottle and then like make it so that they want to crawl down into the thing. Look it up. It's a fucking pain in the ass. These things are a pain in the ass, but they're generally harmless. That was the biggest pest issue I had, but we also had termites or carpenter ants. I don't know, and the landlord never took it seriously, and it was a nice, beautiful house. They had to gut this house 3 fucking times because of termite and carpenter ant damage, and at some point you just be like, when are you gonna call an exterminator and have this shit put to bed? Because this is just keeps coming back. You think you'd learn your lesson the 3rd time you remodeled your kitchen. Fuck, I don't know. But it wasn't my house. That was one thing that I was going to use to try and negotiate a good price to buy the house, knowing that I'm going to have to deal with this shit myself. That was the nightmare, but it wasn't my nightmare. So, and it didn't bother me. I mean, I had to deal with having the kitchen remodeled once while I was living there. Oh, well, darn, I got a new kitchen out of it. And then there were other pests and all kinds of crazy shit. Everything from mice to squirrels to chipmunks to snakes to bees and wasps, and I could just go on and on and on. Things that would get into that house. But I lived in the woods, surrounded by nature, animals everywhere. You could just sit there in the sunroom and watch animals out the window all day long. I could sit in that sunroom for an 8-hour shift at my job and see at least a dozen different animals that I could name. The usuals, the squirrels, the chipmunks, the snakes. One time a snake slithered right up in front of me and just looked at me through the window, and I was like, what's up? A big black rat snake. But I was like, you know what? I'm gonna let you live, because you'll eat something that would have come into my house. As long as you stay outside, we're cool. I'm not going after you, because you'll probably eat something that would have come into my house if you didn't eat it. So we're cool. As long as you do your job. But in hindsight, I should have had cats. I should have had cats at that house. The landlord the landlord was totally fine if I wanted to get a dog. They didn't care. I had friends bring dogs over all the time. They just didn't want cats. And they probably wouldn't have given a shit if I had a cat at some point. For obvious reasons. I mean, cats can be a pain. Cats can fuck up your house. But in that case, having cats would have been, 2 cats would have been good to have in that house, because that would have cut down the number of things coming into the house, because a lot of like mice won't come into the house if they see cats. They'll be like, oh fuck no, we're out of here. Things like that. But anyway, down here in Houston, What have I seen? Ants at my friend's house. We had fire ants. Holy shit, the whole yard was full of fire ant mounds, and they're having a hard time getting rid of those. We watched a cricket hopping across the driveway, and a bunch of fire ants came and swarmed around it. It was like watching David Attenborough's Planet Earth. It was like watching Planet Earth, watching these fire ants swarm over this fucking cricket and just killing it. Like, ooh, gotta watch that when you're out there mowing your yard in Texas. Ooh, the fire ants, they don't play. I would take the weed whacker and just go up to a fire ant mound and be like, take that, motherfuckers. The whole ground just starts turning bright red, bubbling with a million fire ants, all pissed off that you took a weed whacker to their home. They didn't like that shit at all. But that's a good way to get them to come out if you want to spray them with something. So anyway, fire ants. We had ants coming into place. They had their own ways of dealing with them. When I lived in the tool shed, I had one time where twice where some ants came in. One time it was these real tiny ones clustered around the sink. I get the Taro ant traps. It's Terro. It's borax, sugar, and water in a plastic trap. You can make that stuff. You can do your own traps. Borax, sugar, water. Just mix them. Look it up. It's easy to do. But I just get the traps from the store because it's easier and quicker. Cut the end off of the trap. Set it where you see the ants. They'll swarm on that shit for about a day, and then the next morning they're gone. They take all that poison back to their home and they feed it to the queen, and lights out. The whole colony just boom dies, and they don't come back. I'd say, for 12 hours you'll see ants clustered around the trap, and you have to put them where you see the ants. The second time it happened in the tool shed, I put the trap right on the countertop where I prepare my food, because that's where they were. They clustered around it. They swarmed on it. They were going back and forth, and then next morning I get up, they're gone. I leave the trap there. Never saw an ant. Never actually saw an ant again after that one. Done. They were done for good. I would just take the leftover trap, set it somewhere where you're never going to see it, and just let it sit there. If they get all gummy and stale, you can just put a little bit of water in them, shake them up, set them back down. They're good to go again. They last a long time, and if I've already opened up the trap, I may as well just put it somewhere. That way, if ants come in and they find it, they'll just be like, gobble, 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 and take it back to home and take their whole colony out with it. And then in the tool shed this one night, I'm sitting there and I saw a fucking bug go across, and I'm like, what the hell is it? It was big. It's like this fucking big. And I'm looking, and I get up, I'm like, what in the fuck is that? I get up and it's a cockroach. Big like cockroach, this fucking big. And I was like, oh, hell to the no on that. So the next day, I had a box from Amazon full of sticky traps just for that. And I set those out. I only set one of them out. I caught one, probably the one I saw, because I wasn't able to kill it. By the time I saw it, and then I went up to get it, and it was fucking gone. And I'm like, shit. So I think I caught that one with the sticky trap. It's like a palmetto bug, a cockroach. The slang term is a palmetto bug. And so got rid of those before they were those. During the time I lived in the tool shed, after that one, I caught one more, and that was like 2 months later. And I saw two of these things the whole time I lived there. So I'm like, okay, at least I wouldn't call that an infestation. I would call that, you live in Texas, there's gonna be some fucking bugs coming into your place. I mean, some of the spiders, not inside the place, just some of the spiders. This one spider that me and my friend saw outside was fucking like this big around, and it looked like you didn't want to play with that thing. It had this big giant net hanging outside my place when we were trying to move. And at least the spider was considerate enough that as we were going back and forth, he came out and he balled up his nest and he disappeared back into the slumlord's house. So I'm like, as long as you're not in my place, we're good. Have at it. But we didn't want to get anywhere near that thing. I don't think it was a black widow, but I'd have to look up what it was. I didn't even get close enough to take a picture. It was picture worthy for sure. It was a fucking beast. So what else? But that was the only thing. A couple of ants. I had to use 2 ant traps the whole time I lived there, and a glue board to catch 2 cockroaches. So I move into this place, and the front door has a gap between the door and the door jamb. Pretty much anything could come in there. It's a sizable enough gap. I got to do something about this. There's little cracks and crevices, but the plumbing, so when they did the plumbing in this place, they drilled holes for different things right into the floor instead of going through walls or anything like that. So when they put the hot water heater in the bathroom and the toilet, they drilled 3 holes in the floor for the PEX tubing to come through, and 1 hole for the drain off of the drip pan for the water heater. But they didn't put any putty or any seal. They didn't seal them up at all. So there's gaping holes for things to come in and out of this place. And at first I wasn't too concerned, but then I started seeing little cockroaches. I saw one day, and then another day I saw 1 or 2, and then a day later I saw 1 or 2, and I'm like, we're fucking done. We're done. So I got me some Alpine WSG, this is like this is gonna be the apocalypse for those motherfuckers. 30 grams, you mix 30 grams in a gallon of water and use a sprayer, a pump sprayer. I got off Amazon overnight delivery. I got a pump sprayer, 1 gallon pump sprayer, and 50 grams of the stuff. I used 3 packets of the stuff for the first round, and a gallon of that stuff was enough to just completely every nook and cranny of this place that I could get at, I got at. And I don't think there's an infestation here, because I've only seen a few of them, but I see like 1 at a time. But if you see one, you know there's more, and they're coming in and out. It's like they just feel free to come in and out of this place. And so today I doused this place inside, all the floorboards, behind the fridge, behind the stove, all the cracks and crevices, cabinets, everything with this stuff. All around the windows, all around the door jamb, all around the inside of the place, everywhere that they could be. Outside, I had half a gallon left. I went outside, I did the whole outer perimeter of this building, the baseboard of the entire place, doused it, got all the plumbing pipes, anything that they could crawl up and in on, got the plumbing pipes all done. Got all the windows all around the inside and outside of all the windows. Any place these motherfuckers can come in and out, they're getting done. They're getting hit. Within an hour, the water hadn't even dried yet. I saw 2 dead bodies and 1 limping across the floor, and it just like passed out and died on the floor as I watched. This is made by BASF It's called Alpine WSG. It's by BASF. Now, BASF is one of the three companies that used to be called IG Farben back in Germany. It was BASF, Bayer, the aspirin company, and this company called Hoechst, which basically makes dyes and stuff for medical slides that you look at under a microscope. A pretty specialized company. But, you know, IG Farben, they're pretty much the experts on genocide. You know, they were the ones that made the Zyklon B gas that they exterminated all the Jewish people with in the Holocaust. So, if anybody knows how to take out a colony of some sort of living creature, it's going to be IG Farben. So, this stuff, from what I've been told and what the exterminators say and whatnot, this is like one and done. But I may have to come back and give another round next month. And then after that, it's going to be more like switching it up to different things so that if any of them have immunity, like just give them different treats here and there. But I shouldn't have a problem after today. I highly doubt I'm going to see any more after. Within 48 hours, I shouldn't see another one. But I do have to go and seal. I got to get some caulk and a caulk gun and go and seal all these holes that the landlord didn't seal. And I got to figure out what to do about the front door, the door jamb. And then I'm just going to do it myself because fuck it takes no time at all. And so what I'm going to do is I want to put a deadbolt on this front door. Even though like the windows are such crap, you could just smash your way in if you really wanted to get in here. But at least a deadbolt makes it harder, because without a deadbolt, all you need is a piece of cardboard or a fucking credit card or something. You can just come right in. It's not as insecure as I make it sound, because to get onto the property, there's people here all the time. So it's going to be hard for somebody to know if you're home or not and whatnot. And I have cameras. So, like, if somebody did come in, I'd know. There's different things I can do for security here. But a deadbolt. I mean, I need a fucking deadbolt lock on this door. And the landlord, he wasn't like... He said he'd do it, but I'm at the point where I'm like, I'm just going to do it myself. Fuck it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to buy DeWalt, the template. You take this template, you stick it on the door. They give you the 2 hole saws for the bolt and the lock, the 2 different sizes. The template forces you to put them in put the holes and put everything in the right spot. And then for the strike plate, there's another template you can use it's a tool you just put at the right spot. You hit it with a hammer. It gouges out the recess, and it even has like a built-in chisel to, like, I'm gonna get 2 tools and a couple other tools, maybe a couple of chisels, and I'm gonna get a deadbolt and a regular lock or doorknob that are keyed for the same key. And then I'm just gonna be like, hey, I'm gonna take this off the rent since I had to fix it myself. I'm not gonna be a dick about it. I'll ask him. I'm going to do it, and then I'm going to be like, hey, I just put a deadbolt on this door. You mind if I take what it cost me off the rent? And then I'm going to end up having some tools and some cool shit in my toolbox for, you know, whatever I have to do in the future. A couple of hole saws, the templates, the tools for that. I mean, how many times am I ever going to need to do that again? Probably not many, but there have been times. It wouldn't be the first time I've put a lock on a door. But the last time I did it, I didn't use the special templates and stuff, and so it was a little bit more of a pain in the ass. Not much, but it was a little bit more of a pain in the ass. But I'm gonna get all the stuff for it. I'm not gonna do it. I don't know when. I have a never-ending list of shit to do here. I think at some point I put an Amazon registry up So if y'all want to contribute to the channel, and you're wondering, like, if I give this guy $10, what's he going to use it for? I'm going to have a list of things on Amazon that I'm like, I need rags for my cast iron pan that are 100% cotton so they don't melt when I'm seasoning my pan, but doing the maintenance seasoning after you cook a meal. And you have to do that when the pan is hot. And that's like I don't know, that's no more than $10 for a set of those. So like there's just a never-ending list I'm coming up with, and I can't do it all at once. I'm not hurting by any stretch of the word, but I'm looking around and I can already see like 6 things that I need to do that are all just kind of waiting for, next month, because I got to make sure I can pay the rent on time and all that kind of stuff. And so it's more of I'm just kind of waiting it out and making sure that I got the money in the bank that I need. Plus, I want to make a move on that car that dude's setting aside for me. And I have to make sure I'm getting into a rhythm now with the freelance that I should be able to send a nice invoice out every week. Every week I should be able to bill people for stuff now. So it's all gonna, like, I would say by the end of July, things will be moving along. But this first month, June, I knew June was gonna suck balls financially, because not only do you have all kinds of random expenses when you move, I had to spend about, I don't know, what did I spend? I can look. But I had to, I had to buy brake pads, this two sets of brake pads for my Silver Bullet bike, because the brakes were worn down to the metal. And it was grinding metal on metal, so they had to be fixed. And I don't fuck around when it comes to my bikes. If one bike needs work, I get it right away. So the brake pads are sitting right behind me. I'm gonna put them on Sunday. Another bicycle maintenance day is coming up on Sunday, even though I don't want to have to do it all the time, but having to install brake pads on a road bike is not a big deal. It shouldn't take that long, but maybe there's a couple other things I forgot to do on last Sunday, and I can maybe, having enough time, having time to do some things where I didn't last weekend, maybe I can get a couple of extra things done, some bonus stuff done on the bikes. But the brake pads, the 2 sets of brake pads, that was $35. Unexpected expense. The pest control was $55 for the sprayer and the insecticide. So, I mean, that's a lot cheaper than hiring a exterminator, and all the exterminator would do is come in and spray the same shit. So why have them come do what I can do myself? There's a couple of other things that they could do that I could do myself, and it's all on the list. If this stuff's gonna do a good job, I already know. Within 48 hours, I'll probably see a few more dead ones laying around and have to vacuum them up. But other than that, it should be good. And this stuff's really not toxic either. According to most people in the documentation, at the mixture that I used, which is 30 grams per liter of water, you would have to drink 200 gallons of that water with the stuff in it to have a 50% chance of dying. So technically you could spray it all over you're not supposed to spray it where you prepare your food and stuff like that. But if you get some on, if it gets around, it's not going to kill you. You do the best you can to keep it away from, like, there's different versions of this that you can put inside the cabinets and stuff. It comes with a syringe and it's like a gel bait, and you just stick it in different spots. and it won't interfere with anything that you have, and you won't have to like move all your stuff around. I was moving things around today to get, you know, into the nooks and crannies of things and really like lay this shit down. But at this point, it's over. It's game over for these guys. The next thing I have to do, like I said, is I got to figure out what caulk I'm going to use to seal up any of these lazy ass holes that they drilled for plumbing and stuff that they never filled in. I don't know if these bugs came after I moved in or if they were already here. I'm assuming they could have already been in here, because these, you know, the plumbing, the holes that they drilled for the plumbing and stuff, and the, you know, all the ways for them to come in and out have been here since way before I moved in. But, you know, maybe me moving in and having, you know, all of a sudden there's like treats, food and stuff laying around for them, you know, maybe that. But hey, I'm not fucking around with that. When I see that kind of stuff, I don't play. Hopefully this does the job. Hopefully, I've been seeing spiders. I've been seeing, like, there's been a number of spiders in here, of different kinds and varieties. So this stuff should put a hurt on any of that. I should be seeing a bug-free home for quite a while, according to most people when it comes to this particular stuff. And then the other thing I have a shower head. So when I was taking my bath yesterday, I have this shower head, and you can twist it and remove it, and there's a hose, and it's a high pressure hose, and it actually, you can use it to clean stuff. It's very useful, but I'm using it to fill the bathtub because whoever installed the freaking shower didn't install a faucet for the bathtub. Like, what the fuck? The bathtub is a deep, like, soaking tub with like a back that it's like a recliner chair. I've been getting that thing pretty damn clean. I'll take you guys on a tour on an upcoming video. Probably not today. Well, obviously not today, but one of the days. I'm waiting until I get all my clothing folded and put away, and some of that other kind of. I'm waiting until I get a little bit more sorted and done, I guess you could say, before I take you on the next tour. Get a couple more projects done. Even if there's some ghetto stuff, like I'm looking at some extension cords that are just like, gotta do something about that. That's another project. I think it's as simple as replacing a wall outlet. So there's a couple of outlets that are dead, that the landlord just covered up with a plate, with a solid cover. And I took the covers off to see what was in there, and there's outlets in there. And I'm like, I plugged something into the outlets, I flipped there's all these random switches on the wall that don't control anything, or at least I don't know what they control yet. And I think those wall outlets could be part of that. But I plugged something in I plugged something in with a light to see if it would turn on, and I got no power from it. But that could just mean that the outlet itself is bad, and I just need to replace the outlet. And that's like that doesn't even take 5 minutes to do. So I'm thinking about doing that, but I'm gonna get a tester first, just get in there and touch the live wire with a tester and see if it actually has power going through it. And if it does, well, shit, I have outlets along that wall that I need to run my TV and stuff. And so there's just all these little projects to do around this place. And I think some of these things I could do and have the landlord just take it off the rent and just say, look, I made the place better. And I'll probably tell them what I'm doing before I do it, especially with the lock on the door and stuff like that. Things that are fairly major, but he's not gonna have, this dude's cool as fuck. He's not gonna have an issue with me making his place better, especially if I'm gonna do the work. I don't think he'll have a problem with any of that. So he hasn't been anything but cool so far. And this place, for the problems I have here, it's nothing compared to the last place I lived. And when I do have a problem that needs to be fixed, he's been sending somebody over to fix it like that, like right on the, he's been Johnny on the spot with fixing things. Like I said, I could keep on him about the deadbolt on the door, and he'd probably have somebody come over and do it, but I'm kind of at the point where I'd almost rather, I'm just saying, some of the handiwork I've seen, I'd rather do it myself, like to know it's done right. Just saying. I'm fine with doing that kind of stuff. It's a 10-minute job to install a lock on the door if you have the right tools. So, but I was saying with the shower, the detachable shower head, you have a hose. And what happens is there's this O-ring, this rubber O-ring around the hose where it meets the shower head, and it's just a bad design. The O-ring gets pulled off. Well, I didn't notice that the O-ring got pulled off yesterday, and it must have went down the drain of the tub. And the drain of the tub is like, that shit's gone. It's gone. That's part of the Houston sewer system now. So the O-ring disappeared yesterday, and I didn't notice it until after I had drained the tub. And now when you put the shower head on and tighten it down, water sprays out all from the sides because there's no rubber ring. So I'm like, shit. So I had to order, it was either send the thing back. Now it's in the return window, so I could send the thing back to Amazon and get a new one delivered. And then it would have an O-ring and it wouldn't cost me anything other than my time. But that is a bigger hassle than ordering some O-rings. So I ordered an assortment of rubber O-rings of all different sizes, making sure that it probably has the size I need as one of the sizes. And who knows, and now anytime I need a rubber O-ring for something, I'll have a bunch to choose from. But hopefully I can get that shower thing fixed today. And I won't have, even though I don't plan on taking a shower, I plan on taking another relaxing bath later on in the day as I finish up stuff. And I'm ready to chillax for the night. And so hopefully I can get that shower thing fixed, and it's in one of the O-rings is the right size, and I'm gonna have like 359 more O-rings, so I should never need a rubber O-ring ever again. Who knows? But I didn't get laundry done today. I wanted to do laundry today, but because of the bug situation, I decided to put that off till tomorrow, because I can only do so many chores in a day and juggle having to do work on top of that. So laundry's for tomorrow, and I want to be able to soak in the tub and do that tonight. Again, nice. Oh, so good. Epsom salt, baking soda. I'm doing 2 cups per bath because it's a big tub. It's probably too much, so maybe I'll scale it back one of these days. But for now, 2 cups Epsom salt, 2 cups baking soda, 2 eyedroppers of the eucalyptus oil. I can probably cut that back too, because that was a lot. You'd be surprised at how much a little bit of that, what kind of effect that has. And then I have a huge assortment of incense. Not my favorite incense. I was gonna queue up my favorite incense, which is this pine scented incense. You just look, if you, any place that sells incense, just look for the one that says pine. it's how I can recognize that package from, I'm looking at it right now on Amazon. There's a huge, I can get a huge, like, 2-year supply of this stuff for $7 on Amazon right now. For $2 more, I can get it the same amount with a incense burner included. You know, just the crappy incense burner trays. That's actually a freaking deal. Let's do that. Pine. Just putting it in my for later, save for later cart. So I'll just, whenever I go to order something at some point, I'm gonna do that. What else did I do last night? So I took a bath. That was freaking awesome with all the stuff I talked about, plus the incense. Shut the door to the bathroom so the warmth of the room gets really hot. Plus I've got a fan in the top of the room, like the fart fan, the stink fan for the, you know, when you're dropping a deuce and you need that smell to go out. That does a good job keeping the room from getting too humid when you're, but yeah, oh man, it was so hot that I had to get out of the tub and go like out into the air conditioned part of the house to like, because I thought I was gonna have a heart attack. It was so hot. It felt so good though. I couldn't. And then at some point I'm taking the hose and I'm just going over my head with ice cold water to cool my body down as I'm sitting in the hot tub. It was as hot as I could possibly stand. But that's good. That's what really digs in and gets your muscles feeling good. I'd say get in the hot tub as hot as you can take. But at some point it gets so hot that you might have to get out after a short period of time because it's too much. So I was doing that yesterday and that felt good. I made a huge difference in my level of energy and how I felt for the rest of the night and the aches and pains and all that stuff. So whoever it was that left that comment of getting the Epsom salts, you hit the spot, because I wasn't even thinking. That was something that was not on my mind. I was just thankful to be able to take a hot bath. I wasn't thinking along those lines. And when somebody left that comment, it was like light bulb, boo! Oh my God, I forgot. I haven't had a relaxing bath like that since, I didn't have a good bathtub in my house when I lived in Amish country. I couldn't take baths. The only bathtub in the house was super shallow and it sucked. And so I never took baths. I had a really, really awesome shower, but I couldn't soak in a tub. We were thinking about making a, we called it a Hillbilly hot tub out on the back patio. It was a concrete patio. And we were gonna go to Central Tractor and get an animal watering tub, a galvanized steel tub for, feeding your pigs and your cows. And we were going to get a propane powered portable hot water heater that you can hook like a garden hose up to and have that, like, it's almost like an on-demand water heater that you would have in your home, but it's on like a stand and it's portable and you can take it places. You can hook up a garden hose to it or a hose connection, run water through it and have it come out super hot on the other end. And then we were going to drill a hole at the bottom of the Hillbilly hot tub and just let it drain with a hose out into the woods behind the house. But the thing would have been huge. It would have been big enough for 2 people to just chill in a hot tub. Hillbilly hot tub. We had this thing all planned out. We were going to do it. And it was just going to be like a single day project. We just needed to I didn't have room in my pickup truck because of the camper shell and all the different things. I think the hot tub part, I needed to get somebody else's pickup truck to go pick that part up. But then the rest of the stuff was going to come from Amazon. And whenever we wanted to use it, it would just be, there would be a hose coiled up inside the house, or it could have been, there was a spigot outside that we could run a hose down to it and just kind of leave it. It could just be left there all summer long. Because the back patio had an awning, a permanent roof over it. And it wasn't a cloth awning, it was like a permanent roof over the back patio. And it was concrete and it was on the ground level. So it was just like, you could set something like that up there. The only thing we would have had to do is put like divider walls around it and stuff, so that, because there were hiking trails back in the woods there and people would sometimes walk right by. And they could just, you want your privacy and whatnot. But other than that, yeah, a hillbilly hot tub. That was the plan. Right around the time I got arrested, it was getting late in the summer. It was like August and whatnot, but hillbilly hot tub was on the project list for the house. And like I said, it probably wouldn't have even cost $200 for everything. Hoses, water heater was the most expensive part of the whole thing, the propane water heater, and the tub itself, but those weren't that expensive. No more than I would say no more than $250, you can make yourself a hillbilly hot tub just like that. We were even thinking of putting it on like some sort of framework, so that we could put the drain at the bottom of it and have the water go completely out, instead of having to do something where you have to pick up one end to get all the water to go through the drain. But something like that could evolve over time too. Because when you're not using it, you'd want it to be completely empty of water. But I mean, at the end of the day, if you the things aren't that heavy. If you have to go like this and pick it up and just shake the water out of it and put it back down, whatever, it's hillbilly hot tub, who cares? At some point, we could have got fancy and mounted a spigot to it, like a regular bathtub with the hot and cold, and had like a split system so that you could run hot and cold water into it and have a spigot that's attached to it. And then you have two knobs for the hot and cold, so you can make it the exact temperature you want it to be. And you could start it out simple and you could just add to it. And the idea came from YouTube, and there are camping hot tubs. So when we were thinking about doing an off-grid cabin, there are camping hot tubs that are designed with a coil of copper pipe that you build a campfire in. So you fill up the tub with whatever water source that you have. It's probably going to be cold. And then you build a campfire inside this copper coil, and the heat because the water goes from the tub through the coil and back into the tub. And both ends of the coil, both pipes are in the tub at the same level. And so what happens is when you create that, when you heat up that coil with a campfire, the water is being sucked out of the tub, goes around this coil, and it comes back into the tub, and the heat creates the circular movement of the water. So all the water is getting acclimatized and getting equalized. And really your biggest problem is making sure that you don't make the thing get too hot, because it's a freaking fire heating the thing. And so it's a lot safer than just having a big metal tub with a fire underneath it, like your Nebuchadnezzar putting a bunch of people inside of a brass bull or whatever they would do to roast people who were getting executed or whatever back in the day. Instead of putting a fire right under a tub, it's off to the side, and it's basically a campfire, and you just make some logs and heat it up. Every now and then you might have to get out of the tub and go throw a log on the fire, but you got yourself a fucking hot tub at that point at your off-grid cabin. But these things are expensive. It's a system, and it's expensive, and like I'm talking like a couple $1,000 to buy this thing. But I'm like, you could make this thing. Just get a. I mean, copper pipe isn't that cheap, but I mean, you could make a coil. Just get a pipe bender and some copper pipe and just bend it into a coil. Get it to the right thing, and then get some hose attachments. And then, it kind of all just like, all these ideas were just popping up. And because of the fact that we were thinking like, oh, you could get one of those inflatable hot tubs that they make, and you could put that out on the back patio, fill it up. And every single review I've ever read about those say they absolutely suck. Anything inflatable is gonna leak, it's gonna pop at some point, and then the thing's just gonna not hold air anymore, and it's gonna deflate, and that's gonna be an issue. They make other hot tubs that are like portable, but they're not inflatable. But they're kind of expensive for what they are. But there's something that you can basically tear it down in the winter and stick it in the garage and then set it back up when you want to use it again. It's not like but some of those things have to be maintained like a swimming pool with chemicals and whatnot. And I hate that shit. Like, I don't want a hot tub at my house that has to be maintained and taken care of like a swimming pool with all the chemicals and the chlorine and all that. No. I want a tub that you can drain all the water out of and just fill it up when you want to use it. Like a hot tub, like a jacuzzi, where you just fill it up like a bathtub, use it, and then drain that shit when you're done. And and that's it. I would never want to have a swimming pool style spa tub where those things are a fucking maintenance nightmare. And so some of those inflatable hot tubs are like that. You have to do all the shit that you would have to do with a swimming pool to keep it clean and sterile and all that. And I didn't want to get into any of that. And then some of them, they say they're cheap. They're kind of ghetto. It's like the Temu hot tub, right? And people are saying that when I read the reviews, people are saying that the water never gets hot enough because the heat system, the circulation system sucks, and it's cheap and it's garbage, and it doesn't get the water hot enough. And I'm like, that's the problem right there. Like when I get in my Hillbilly hot tub, I want that shit hot. I want that shit to burn. I want to look like a lobster when I get out of that thing, because I want to get burned. Like when I'm putting my foot in the water, I gotta pull it back out. Like I want that shit to be hot, and then scale it back down. Run some cold water into the mix and turn it down if I need to turn it down. Pull the drain plug, let some water drain out, and get it the right temperature if you have to cool it. It's easier to cool it off when it starts out hot than it is to heat it up if it starts out cold. And so that's what I wanted. And so when it all, like, we talked about this for a whole summer, all these different ideas on how to do it, and the Central Tractor Hillbilly hot tub was the winner all day long. And there were so many different ways you could do it, and so many different things you could do to make it cooler. And you could actually make it look really sweet and look like Better Homes and Gardens if you really wanted to dig in and do it right. But you could do it in stages. You could hook the thing up on day one and have it working. And then you could make another weekend project where you make it better, and you just keep making the thing better and better and better. And then when winter comes, you can either You can take all the components and just put them in the garage, put them in storage, whatever. As far as the big tub, it's on a covered patio, so it's really not going to get like covered in snow and stuff like that. It's this galvanized steel. I mean, maybe you have to buy a new tub every 4 or 5 years because I don't know. I'm sure they don't. Who knows? I don't know what happens to them. But it was an idea, and I'm telling you, when and if I get into a place where I could do that, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. Even here. Even if I lived in the HOA, which I would never live in an HOA, but like even where my friend lives right now, I'm like, you could totally do the Hillbilly hot tub there. The only thing that they would have a problem with is the drainage, because where I lived, I had a hill. My house was on a hill. You could run the water right out. It would just go right down a hill into a creek. And so, yeah, the EPA, you might want to keep your mouth shut about that. When you might not want to say that on YouTube, that your Hillbilly hot tub drains into ultimately it goes downhill and ends up in a creek. But you can do that. You can't do that, but you can do that. Just heaven forbid some endangered species of salamander, you take an Epsom salt bath and some endangered species of salamander gets poisoned, and then you're dealing with, 10 years in federal prison and $100,000 fine because you killed a endangered salamander with your Hillbilly hot tub. But there's ways to do this shit. There's ways to do it. You could just have the fucking drain go right down the same path that your gutters and your drainage system for the house follows, which was out the back and down the hill. So whatever. That's how the drainage worked for the roof, and I'm sure the chemicals coming off of your tar and shingled roof are a lot worse for the environment than your Hillbilly hot tub. So that's how that was gonna go. So yeah, if I ever get into a place where the plans are in my head, I could go to Central Tractor, and other than the on-demand propane water heater, that's the hardest thing that would have to be bought online. Nobody's gonna have that in a store. Other than that, everything else is good to go. You're good to go. You have everything you would need. You could go to Central Tractor and pick up tomorrow and have your Hillbilly hot tub up and running by the end of the day. No problem. And you can make it as nice as you want to make it. I mean, there are so many different ideas I had for that. It would have actually, ultimately that thing would have looked like some shit in Better Home and Gardens. But it probably would have started out Beverly Hillbillies on day one, and it would have become Better Homes and Gardens by the second year. The first summer is functional. The second summer it's all right, let's build a deck around this thing, and let's build some chairs in it, and let's make it cool. How the fuck did that happen? Supposedly Amazon just came and went, left a package in front of my place, and I never even knew they were there while I was talking to you guys. So this must be my rubber O-rings for the bathtub, and it seems like a good place to stop this video. But hopefully I gave you some ideas. If you want, if I ever do build the Hillbilly hot tub, I'll make a video. I won't do that without shooting a video of the whole thing so that you can see what's in my head. But I think I gave you enough information there. You could go and build this shit tomorrow. I mean, you could take what I gave you and make your own version of it. But in the case when I lived at that house, I didn't have a tub and I couldn't soak. And so anytime I would travel, and anytime I was ever staying in a hotel, I would make sure to get a jacuzzi suite, and I would look for deals. There's a process that I go through where I can get a jacuzzi suite at a hotel for the same price as a regular hotel room. It just takes a little bit of effort, and it takes getting on the phone and making phone calls instead of booking hotels online. You got to actually talk to people, but you can do it. And so that was a big thing for me because, I hate staying in hotels. I absolutely hate staying in a hotel. Hate it. I would rather sleep in my car than sleep in a hotel. But you put a jacuzzi in the hotel room, I'm cool with it now. I'm totally fine with it now. If I can sit there and watch a couple movies while I'm sitting in my tub like Tony Montana, watching a TV screen, watching fucking Pawn Stars on the History Channel. I never watch TV, but every time I turn on the fucking TV and you go to the History Channel, wow, it's another episode of Pawn Stars. Imagine that. So I could be watching Pawn Stars while I sit in a fucking jacuzzi. That makes being in a hotel all right. But the reason it came about, the reason I became a hot tub snob with hotel hopping was because I didn't have a tub in my house. And I had this light bulb go off in my head one day when I was on a long bicycle ride. I'm like, I could probably get a hot tub room and get off my bicycle and just spend the whole day relaxing in a fucking tub and getting over this bad day that I'm having on the bike. And that turned into a thing. And I refuse to stay in a hotel unless there's a hot tub in the room now. But the Hillbilly hot tub became just like out of necessity because I couldn't soak in the fucking hot tub. I couldn't soak in a bath whenever I was all sore and tired and whatnot at that house I lived in. Even though it was the most beautiful, awesome house I ever lived in, I didn't own the place. If I owned that house, the upstairs bathroom would have been gutted and turned into a hot tub suite. I would have removed a wall between two rooms and made it a big giant bathroom with a giant fucking jacuzzi tub in it. But as it was, when I lived there, the tub was unusable. It wasn't, my son wouldn't even take showers in that bathroom because the tub sucked. And so my son would come down and take showers in my shower because I had like a bedroom suite and I had a really nice shower down there. And so he would just go down and use the shower downstairs. And that was fine, that's fine. Hillbilly hot tub. But anyway, I'm gonna go get my O-rings and see if one of them fits on this shower head. And with that, I'm gonna say peace out and we'll talk again later.